Michael Grubb from Avatar Energy Mastery Institute, and so I'm here discussing my book. The chapter we're getting ready to talk about is the machine working algorithms, okay? And so your preferences as algorithms. Now, if you haven't seen the chapter on the machine or read about the machine, that is something that you need to actually familiarize yourself with. I will just say this: the machine is a AI engine, okay? It is basically a AI engine which governs the system in the absence of, say, its creator. So it's the same thing that, anything would have if you were running a system, video game, any sort of an engine usually has some intelligence behind it, running algorithms and numbers and sequences. Okay, so the one thing you have to understand is if you are actually trying to manifest something, and I don't like to even use the term manifest, but if you're trying to bring something to fruition that you want, or some sort of a plan, okay, the thing is you have to be quite monolithic in your approach, okay? So the whole point is if you're going to set your goal, if you're going to set your itinerary, okay, then you have to have priorities set up in a line to which you know and you can follow bit by bit, piece by piece, down to the letter, okay? Now the fact of the matter is what happens with a lot of people is they'll have a plan, then they'll have a contingency plan. If that fails, then they'll have a whole bunch of what ifs that branch off of these plans. What if it doesn't work? What if John or Jason doesn't show up to do this? What if it rains this day? Or what if this happens? What if that happens? There's all sorts of what ifs that people put into, and then another thing is they put in the what ifs into the equations of whether or not they actually want to succeed with this plan or not. So what ends up happening is you have a pile, okay? You first start off with your goal. Let's just say that my goal is to run up the street as fast as I can, and I want to get up there within 20 seconds. Well, at this point, 100% of my goal is fixated now upon getting up the street in 20 seconds. That's what I want to do. That's how I want to get things accomplished, okay? And so what I have to do at that point is set my mind to it, get there and run up the street and get it done in 20 seconds. Okay, that's 100% of the plan. Everything that I put into it is right there, and all my energy goes into making this goal occur. Now what happens with people is what they will typically do is they'll start to think of what ifs. They'll see maybe a rock at the side of the road, or maybe someone left a $20 bill at the side of the road or something like that. Well, then next thing that happens is instead of going from point A to point B, from here to your plan, you get off on all these little tangents. Okay, so what ends up happening is the machine starts to do a bunch of numbers and algorithms. If your goal initially was to get from point A to point B, this was 100% of everything. Well, as soon as you put that $20 bill in the mix, then you've got 50% here, 50% there. Okay? And then if you think, well, now that I got that 20 bucks, later on I can go to maybe the liquor store and get something to drink. Well, there's another 20% right there that goes into that. And so by the time that you've gone off into all these things, the machine, what it tries to do is balance all these algorithms. So if you have made your plan, okay, let's just say now we're going into something like, what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to get a job. So we're going to switch from getting from point A to point B. Now it's me trying to get a job. It first starts off, I need to get a job, and so I'm thinking to myself, all right, there's nothing that's going to come in between me and this job. 100% of my effort now goes into getting this job. But the minute that I put a self-defeating thought into it, well, here's the job, now here's a self-defeating thought. 50% of the energy goes here, 50% of the energy goes there. And then I think to myself, there's other people who could be applying for this. Well, then all of a sudden, the machine now makes a contingency. More percentage of that energy, which was initially 100%, is now going into the idea that there may be other people there. So then that throws maybe a 10 or a 20%, okay? And then let's just say you think to yourself, oh, I may not have enough gas to get there that day. Well, then that throws in another bit. The thing is you need to focus on the one thing, which is the goal, which is the 100%. That's what you're putting all your energy into it. Because the minute that you start throwing in all of these other little sidetracked things, okay, the machine is being forced to operate within this circle that has all these little things. And so eventually what it does is it tries to balance all of those little side plans and all those little contingencies, okay? It's contingent upon this or it's contingent upon that. And once it does, instead of putting everything that you got into that pile, which was the 100% initially just to get the job, it is now split everything up somewhere in the middle. And so now you getting the job is no longer at 100%. It could be down to about 20 or 30% at this point. Okay, so the thing is the more stuff that you put in the way of you and your goal, okay, you and goal, the more stuff you put in the middle here, the more stuff that the machine has to balance out in order for you to get down here. And by the time you even maybe get to this point, so much of your energy has been divvied out elsewhere. Now you're at a 10% here, and by the time you get to the job, you have no confidence left. You've just run into all sorts of problems, and you're stumbling in your interview, and the next thing that happens is you don't get that job. Your focus, okay, your goal, your priority has to be setting yourself into getting that goal, okay? So that's what it boils down to. Is if you sit and you put a whole bunch of things in the middle of it, the machine throws you somewhere in the middle. So if here's me, here's my goal, you got all this stuff in the circle, okay, it tries to balance everything out and then you end up here. You never get here. That's what happens to a lot of people is they put a lot of self-defeating thoughts and they put a lot of other wants and wishes and all sorts of expectations into this situation other than focusing on the task at hand. Okay, so you have to focus your energy in 100%. 100%. That is exactly what gets you from point A to point B. And then once you have focused on that, then what you have to do is you have to stand up and implement every action that it takes to get there. So there can be absolutely no compromise between you and the goal at hand. Because again, the more stuff that you put in the middle or in between it, then you have a system, including your own brain, trying to balance out all of these other things as opposed to just simply going directly towards the goal and making it happen. The goal is what it's all about. So, it is important that we as people, when we're learning to put things together in our mind, when we're learning to use our abilities and our abilities for manifestation, that we understand that every single time that we put something in between us and the goal, that the computer, even your own brain, has to balance out the algorithms. So instead of putting a bunch of stuff in between you and that goal, okay, you have to just make everything a straight line. Shortest distance between 2 points, as we know it, is a straight line. Now, there's some other ways where you can take it and then you actually cheat it. So you fold a piece of paper in half, pass the pencil through, make a hole through the top, 1 point to the next, and you've passed through, okay? But as far as we know on this planet, the shortest distance between 2 points is a straight line. So here it is. Here I am. That's the job. I go directly to the job. I make it happen. I put my goals or my wishes, my wants, my energy into it, and then I do whatever it takes. So for instance, if I have to dress nice that day to get the job, I'm going to dress nice. Okay? If I have to learn a certain amount of definitions or I have to learn procedures for the job, then I make sure I learn the procedures for the job so when I get there and they ask me questions, I've already got the answers right there on the spot for them. Okay, so it is 100% up to you how you choose to go about getting something done. But the fact of the matter is, you'll never get it done if you're constantly defeating yourself along the way. You have to remove obstacles, not put obstacles there, because the more obstacles you put in front of you, the more or the harder it's going to be. You're going to be dodging a whole bunch of stuff just to get to this point, and then there's no guarantee that once you get to that point, that what you wanted will be there in the first place. Anyway, The best thing that you can do is hone yourself towards unconditional love. Hone yourself towards peace, towards happiness. Because the thing is, the more positive you are, the more likely you are to get what it is you need. Now keep in mind, I'm teaching here people how to use their abilities to improve their lives so they can also improve the lives of others. Okay, so they can serve as a benefactor for the general whole and not just themselves. Okay, so once you learn how to do this stuff, and once you learn how to master yourself, and once you learn how to bring things to you the proper way, that you learn and you pass that on to someone else. Okay? And this is not about manifesting material things, all right? This is about mastering yourself, and then by mastering yourself, the universe helps divvy out all the things that you may need according to what your interests are. Don't get greedy. You don't need any more than what is given. All right? Eternal love.